Greetings, Internet! Nerd here. Glad to be back in a game. Gonna play some Crystalis. I'm gonna let this title screen go up here again. I'm gonna bring up the story of the game here. Yeah, the end day, 21 years ago, when civilization was destroyed. Basically, this game takes place in the year 2097 after an apocalyptic nuclear war destroyed civilization, and there's just read the story. This gives you a bit of the game. At any rate, so this is Crystalis, a action RPG for the NES, which is one of my awesome games I love. Let the story go by here a little bit, so, feel free to read. Alright, so, as with all RPGs, or most RPGs, get to put in a name. Well, we only have 6 characters, so we're just going to have to make the best of it here. Can't even do that. Alright, so, hang on. There you go. H-Nerd! Wake up from the lovely cryo sleep here. So basically this game's kind of a post-apocalyptic medieval setting. Civilization rebuilt itself to, like, back to medieval type technology. Alright, so first thing we're going to do here is come in here, and this guy's going to give us some money. The wise man Zebu says this money is for me. A whole $100. And then this village elder. The last hope to defeat evil. That doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, it's an NES game, right? That's basically all we are. Alright, Sword of Wind. Alright, so in this game there's 4... Well, actually, I'm sorry. There are 5 different swords, but the last one you don't get until, like, the last fight. But each sword is based on an element. So, I now have the Sword of Wind, which is, like, the first basic weapon in the game. And let's go here, and yes, I'm gonna buy some tanned hide, which is basically leather armor, and equip that. Alright, select brings up the items. Alright, so now that I've done that, as with any RPG, time to grind. So, action RPG, this game kind of has a top-down view like your Zeldas or anything like that. But the difference in this is that it's an RPG, so there's experience points and things like that. Magic spells, all that. And yes, we do have to grind. So as you notice, now I can just do regular attacks like this, but that's a terrible decision when you can just use the projectiles to your heart's content. So you notice you have to stop and charge those up, which is a pain in the butt. Alright, so I'm not going to promise how well I'm going to do at this game because I have not played this game in quite some time. I don't think I've ever even beaten this one. This was one that I always got on rentals. Never owned it. But it's a favorite, so we're gonna play it. So this is where it's a little tedious, you know, when you only have enemies that are worth like, you know, one experience point. Save up the money too, I could buy that shield. Yeah, all the enemies here are worth like add experience point, which is kind of annoying. I think, and I could be wrong here. I don't think there are any enemies here, but this is where the Elder Zebu is. We're the one we've been waiting for. So I gotta get the windmill to work. This is one of my, like, every once in a while, like, you'd get a game on a rental, and it just would soak up your weekend. And this was one of them, man. I never got overly far in it. So there's gonna get to a point where I am certainly going to be a little lost. I forgot how fast you move around in this. Ah, see? Now in here, I don't know. Are there any monsters in the cave? So this guy's asleep. You have to have a specific item to wake him up. Okay, good to know. There is no enemies in this cave. If you get the windmill to work, it opens kind of like the first like dungeon or like cave that you got to go through to travel to the next area. And there's a boss in there. He's not too terribly difficult. And really, for the time, this was actually a fairly... like, it was a pretty in-depth game for its time. It's really, like, the best action RPG that I can think of on the NES. I would still not say best RPG on the NES. I would say that has to go to probably Dragon Warrior 3 or 4. But I figured it'd be a little bit better to play something a little more action-oriented and not turn-based. Alright, so I'm going to level up here. Bum, bum. Alright, so now I have a little more health. I think I will probably attempt getting to level 3 before progressing. I gotta save up money and get that shield anyway. It would be a little bit better if there were actually, like, enemies to run into. This was a good action RPG for the NES. Another really good one, and I should probably do a playthrough of that, is Willow. And that one's probably not... that one's nowhere near as grindy as this one. Both are made by pretty solid publishers too. I mean, this was made by SNK, uh, famous for, of course, things like the Neo Geo system and stuff. And then Willow was done by Capcom, which the game loosely takes stuff from the movie, but not a whole lot. Which is fine, still a good game. It's one of those examples of a movie-based game that's still a good game, even though it may not really pull too much from the movie. I'm sitting here talking about a whole different game than one I'm playing, but that's okay. Man, where is... I'd be alright if I actually ran into enemies. There's like hardly anything out here. Well, it's nice to know that those tigers are getting pretty well killed just by... Okay, so if I walk a little bit further, walk back... Okay, he'll respawn. That's a little frustrating. It'd be nice if there's a second one over this way, but I'll take it. At least you walk fast, and that does make a difference. Oh, there we go. Come here, you. $85 gold. That's enough to buy the shield. At least these guys are worth 2 gold. I didn't even notice that. This isn't like an overly expansive world. It's kind of like broken up into sections, so to speak. Like, I'll get through this cave and there'll be like area 2 basically, and there'll be like a town and a couple like places to explore in there, and then I'll move on to the next area, and it's kind of how it works in this game. It still has a fairly linear progression in it. You can there's of course some backtracking and stuff, but it's not like completely, it's not as open world. It's also not as cryptic as some other games too. You kind of get a good sense of where you need to go next and stuff in this one, which is good. Because that's a pretty common dilemma that you can kind of come up with in NES, in the NES era. And unless it was like something straight action, like, Super Mario Brothers or something like that, where it's just like, okay, you get to the end of the stage, we move on to the next one. If there's exploration involved, sometimes, especially with English translations back then, they could be a little cryptic. Looking at games like Castlevania 2 and maybe even the Goonies 2. I promise, after I get this one, I'm gonna call it good, because single experience point enemies are, especially after this one, I bet I'm gonna probably have to get clear at least 100 to get to level 4. I don't have to level grade a ton in this one. I mean, this is like a, I think you could beat the game probably at like level 20, be pretty safe. This one's kind of nice. It was one of those games that, like, brought elements from games like Zelda and then your RPGs like Dragon Warrior, so I thought it was kind of a nice blend when it first came out. Oh, now, see... There's one. Nine more. And I got a good amount of gold, too, so I'll buy... a, Oh, come on now. That was not nice. I'll buy the shield and maybe some items to go along with it. Probably like some medical herbs or something. I'm sure that I'll probably need to cure poison too. Come on with it. I guess I should call them were-tigers or something. I mean, they are walking on two legs. One more, one more. There we go. Level 3. Yeah, 150? I don't think so. I'm not going to grind to a 150. Alright, thanks for bearing with me there. So let's go ahead and go to town. Get our hands on some equipment. And that's the tortoiseshell shield. Nothing else. And let's go ahead and equip that. Yes. So I am going to need an alarm flute to wake that guy up that's in the, Let's see, is there anything else I can buy in here? Yeah. Yes. Let's buy a medical herb. Just in case. So the difference in this game, like one of the things in this game too, is that you'll equip an item or a spell to the A button. Right now I don't have any of those things equipped. And that's okay, I'm going to hold off on that. Alright, let's go wake this... Oh, see now? That ain't right. Alright, I'm gonna go to that cave that I was just in. And... talk to our guy. Oh, that's right. We need to wake him up. So, if I go and equip this, and if I hit A, it should conceivably wake this guy up. Oh, that's right. If I push B, it'll wake him up. Alright. Alright, so now I have the windmill key. That's right. It's A does spells. If you equip an item and you push the sword button, it'll use that item. Alright, so like in this case, I'm going to put the windmill key on and then watch. Alright, so that opened that cave up. And I'm going to go back and talk to the Elder Zebu. Sometimes the only one of the downsides is that I actually don't have to talk to him at all. If I'm not mistaken, if I just go here, that's right. You have done well. I will teach you magic of refresh. So now I have the magic of refresh, which is a healing spell, essentially. If I equip it, it heals me. Alright, so I'm going to go into the cave here in just a second. But at this point, I am going to stop, and on the next session, we will take on the sealed cave here and go on to the next area. Fight a boss while we're in here, too. At any rate, thanks for watching, and I will catch everybody on the next one. Heisenerd, out.